I recently saw this video from GenjiGear come across my homepage on YouTube, The Truth About Streaming Final Fantasy XIV. And while I am not a streamer, I can probably relate to some of the points he's going to be talking about. I haven't seen the video yet, but as a content creator of Final Fantasy XIV and being on a weekly video cycle, it can be very tiring. So I wanted to see what he's talking about. Shout out to GenjiGear. You probably have no idea who I am, but I have looked to your channel many times for inspiration for thumbnails and titles and how to communicate different aspects of Final Fantasy XIV. So thank you from the shadows. I have a small channel, but thank you for providing inspiration. So let's do a blind reaction to this video and see what Genji is talking about.
Alright, what's going on everyone? GenjiGear here with a very special video today. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a little bit less edited, a little bit more raw. I tried to write a script for this a few times, actually like a lot of times. I've tried to write about this a lot. But I just end up kind of going in circles, and I end up just spending too much time with caveats and just trying to give everything consideration, and I'm just kind of freezing up and not able to actually complete this video. So I figured I'd turn the camera on, turn on my mic, and I'll just talk at you. Just talk to you guys about a little game called Final Fantasy XIV. So as many of you may know, I've been playing Final Fantasy XIV for the past 6 or almost 7 months now. I started in January of 2023, and I've played it for almost, was it 400 hours now?
That's pretty good.
I think I'm about at 400 hours now, somewhere around there. I've played the game a lot. I'm at Stormblood. I'm actually about to beat Stormblood. I'm going to be beating that this weekend. If y'all want to follow me on Twitch, you know how to do that. Everything's in the description. But today I wanted to talk to you guys about my experience streaming this game, kind of almost a venting thing, but also kind of giving some information for people that are thinking about streaming the game, and then just kind of recontextualizing, you know, how my journey streaming the game has been over the past 6 months, and moving forward what it's going to be. Because, yeah, it's been quite an experience, quite a journey, and it's been freaking amazing. So first of all,
I would agree.
I started this YouTube channel like 3-4 years ago during the pandemic. I just made a lot of random videos. I didn't really have any kind of focus or any kind of direction with it. I just play video games and make some videos. It was a good time. Never really saw much success with it. Now, in January, I decided to play Final Fantasy XIV because I like Final Fantasy games. I've always heard good things about this, so I was like, hey, let me just play this game and let me document my journey playing it. I think that might be interesting for people. It's something new, a little bit of a different angle on a video, something different than what I was doing in the past. And I made a video, said, hey guys, I'm gonna play this game. And the video blew up. It was the most successful video I've ever created. I would actually totally agree with that. I started my YouTube channel a couple years ago. I think it was either the start of the pandemic or maybe halfway through, and same exact experience. I was creating random different content styles, and Final Fantasy XIV that became my best performing genre of games. So totally relate to that point. Believe it. Like, I just said, hey, this game sounds good. I'm going to play it. You guys want to watch me? Come over to Twitch. My YouTube channel became monetized within just a couple months, which was just absolutely crazy. I did that within like 2 months, something that I couldn't achieve for the past 3 years with the channel.
Same, actually.
My Twitch channel, I became an affiliate really quickly. I just couldn't believe it. It was like, this is so cool. I can't believe this community here is so amazing. They're supportive. They love playing with me. Everything's so much fun. Like, it was just like
super
just
supportive.
A high, you know, it was just like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. This is so much fun. And on top of that, the game is really good. And it was a lot of fun playing it and sharing that experience with other people. I had people that came in and rated me. In particular, It's Fizzy, an amazing streamer, such a great person. She came in and rated me a bunch of times. And then OK Mage tried rating me one time. Spelled my name wrong. But then there was like a manual raid, like 300 of them came in there. And
nice.
It was just like absolutely like amazing. It was so much fun. I had a really awesome kind of grand, what do you call it? When I entered Heavensward, I had everyone there, the kind of entrance thing where everyone was excited to see me into Heavensward, into Ishgard at that moment of the game, kind of like with Asmongold and other streamers, and like
Wow.
it was really cool. You know, I did a raiding for the first time. This was my first time doing an MMO ever.
Same.
I did some hardcore
Same.
raiding with the coils of the coils of Bahamut, and I beat Twintania, and that
Nice.
was like
I just did that
such
myself.
A cool experience, like grinding out a dungeon with 7 other people for like hours and hours. It was so cool. Like it was like legitimately like some of the best experiences I've had in gaming and on YouTube. Like it's so cool, right?
I would say the Coils experience, in my opinion, was definitely the hardest. That sphere thing on the very first, the first iteration of that tier was just, it was so hard. Super fun though. I had a great group. But you're right. It's so memorable. I've never experienced gaming like that before, and it was definitely a day to remember. I loved that raid. It was super punishing because we did it synced, but it was awesome at the same time.
But I kind of feel like I shot myself in the foot a little bit with this whole thing because I was contextualizing my streaming and my videos of like, hey, I heard this game's the greatest story of all time, and I'm playing it to see if it really is, which I think that's a really cool, interesting premise. It's a cool title for YouTube. It's probably why so many people came to watch it, because they're like, hey, I think this game is really great. And some of you think, hey, this is the best game of all time. And not just the best game of all time, best story in any kind of media. Like some of the comments I got were like, this is the best piece of media ever. Better than any book, movie, story that my uncle told me. This is better than anything like ever. So I was like, holy shit, okay. Like, even if it's not the best, it's got to be really, really freaking good, right? Because a lot of people seem to agree with that. And I've been playing the game, and I play the game, and, like I said, it's good. But with that high expectation that this is the greatest thing of all time, there were just like all of the little things that weren't perfect about the game really kind of stood out to me, because I'm like, hey, y'all say this is the perfect game, the best game of all time, not perfect, but the best game of all time. But I'm just running around doing fetch quests. Like, how can you guys tell me this is the best game?
That's fair.
It was like, oh, just wait. The beginning is not so good. There's the whole, you got to watch the No Clip documentary, which I did, which was great, which is cool. Which I think like that story of the No Clip documentary of Square Enix and Yoshi P and Koji Fox, in my opinion, that story is better than a Realm Reborn story. Like the story of this company, these guys coming together, revitalizing this franchise, saving Square Enix. Like, it is such a cool story. I'll tell you guys, go watch it if you haven't. It's an amazing
I haven't seen
story.
it yet.
Even if you don't like video games, it's a cool story. So anyways, where was I at? Yeah, the game, A Realm Reborn. It's quite frankly, I'm just like, I don't know how you guys can say this is the best game. It's not that great. But everyone's like, oh, just wait. It gets better. And then, the patch content comes.
I got the same comments.
It did get better. We got to Heavensward, and it was like, okay, yeah, this game's getting great. But I don't like MMOs that much. And I didn't really know why. Like, there's just always something that, like, there was a reason why I didn't play MMOs, and part of it was the fact that they never end, and part of it was also the fact of MMO combat, for the most part, never seemed very appealing to me. It didn't look good, and I don't really like how it feels to play the game. I don't think it's super fun to just do an AoE a billion times. I thought the game was really easy. Most every situation that you're in the game, in the main story quest, you just go in the middle of a bunch of mobs and do an AoE, and like everything's really easy unless you do minimum item level, no echo, and if you do that, if you don't do the mechanics right, you just die. Like there's no like difficulty as in like you have to like be like make choices like in something like Cyberpunk or like a game.
So I think that's important to note, is that if MMO is not your tea, that's a totally fair criticism, right? I think my take and my experience on this is a little bit different. And that's not to say Genji is in the wrong by any means. I mean, everyone has their preferences. For me, I think I balance Final Fantasy XIV out with other games that maybe scratch the itch for me. So for me, in behind the scenes, which I'm not putting content out for this, but I have some other games that I am running to help scratch the itch of things that aren't met or satisfied in Final Fantasy XIV combat. For me, I actually really have always wanted to get into World of Warcraft as a kid. One of my best friends back in middle school had a WoW account, and we would go to his house and just sit behind him in his little office and just watch him play WoW. So for me, there was this appeal, and I didn't have the ability as a kid or even as a young adult to really get into that realm of gaming. So for me, Final Fantasy XIV, it definitely, the MMO appeal was not a turnoff. I think it was something I have always wanted to experience. Now, again, I balance out maybe the Final Fantasy XIV combat with other games. So Genji's talking about how it feels like you can just run to a middle of a mob, right, and just spam an attack. So for me, when I'm looking for like that punishing, like need to be really, really intentional about, different moves or different, dodging sequences, I find that scratch to be itched in Elden Ring or Dark Souls, Bloodborne, which I'm on PS4 playing that. So for me, like I looked to Final Fantasy XIV for community gameplay. I wanted to experience raiding and trials and dungeons with people I care about, which I have an amazing community supporting me in my endeavor. And I'm very thankful for all of you who've been a part of my journey. But again, if MMOs aren't your tea, that's okay. So perhaps that's the only difference so far I'm seeing is between Genji and I is that it's just a preference thing, right? So if MMOs in general aren't your thing, I can totally see how the fetch quests feel exhausting. For me, I will do the fetch quests kind of like as a mindless thing. And actually part of my real life job, there are different parts of downtime in between big projects where, you can run a few fetch quests and then at the end of the day, you can do the more serious content, which it just works for my lifestyle. So again, it just comes down to personal preference, but I'm not at all disagreeing with Genji. I think if MMOs aren't your thing, that's completely fine. I can see how Final Fantasy XIV would feel like it would burn you out if MMOs aren't your flavor.
That allows you to like figure out, like let you play the game how you want, and then you like build a character and you make all these choices and then you come tackle it your own way. It's like, it's not fair for me to make those types of comparisons, but basically I've learned over this time is that I like games that give you more choice, games that are more dynamic in like the choices you can make and how that changes the combat, how that changes the story. And this game just kind of didn't have any of that. And it honestly, it let me down, not because it's not a good game, but because it's not the greatest game of all time, and those were my expectations. So I felt like,
okay,
I mean,
that's
a
fair.
lot of you probably know if you've been watching my videos or watching me stream, I feel like I've been kind of negative about the game over the past couple of months. I've gotten kind of burnt out on it, like in a lot of ways. I feel like the story,
that's what I've been hearing.
It's good, but
from
it's
a lot of
just,
people actually.
It's got a lot of kind of. You can tell that a lot of different, like dozens of writers wrote this story over 10 years. It's not a cohesive story that has a nice arc. Even the arcs that it has, it's like there's just like a whole bunch of them, and there's a lot of like things that are kind of underdeveloped. Especially, I mean, I don't really want to get too much into it. I'll make another video and talk more about that. But the thing is, it's a good game, but it's not the greatest game of all time, and I feel like that's all I talk about because that's the point of my videos. That was the point of my stream. I'm playing this game to see if it's actually the greatest game of all time or the greatest Final Fantasy game of all time is more so what I was trying to figure out. And I think at this point I've decided, it's not for me. And that's okay that if it is for you. But
yeah,
for me, it's not.
I agree.
I really like Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy IX, and I mean 8 and 10 as well. Though Final Fantasy 7 through 10, those are my favorite ones.
Agreed.
Maybe it's the nostalgia,
those are amazing games.
I played the Final Fantasy 7 remake, absolutely loved that. I thought the storytelling there was better than Final Fantasy 14, and
Interesting. So it totally is preference. And granted, I haven't actually played through the remake. I wasn't really drawn in to play the remake. So I have 1 through 10 on multiple consoles. I've bought them on PSP, on my PSP Vita. I've got it on like original PS1 discs. And I don't know, I just wasn't really into the remake. So that's interesting that he says that the remake of 7 had a better story. Maybe I should give it a try. And that's my own bias just from not actually experiencing it. But I'm actually really enjoying Final Fantasy 14. And granted, I'm still in A Realm Reborn. I liked it. I don't know. I kind of like the story. So I hear it's only up from here, but we'll see. And granted, I'm not streaming every day. I don't know what Genji's schedule is, but if it's super aggressive, you're gonna burn out on any game. I mean, this channel actually started by doing Skyrim content, and I was on a pretty aggressive schedule. I was doing role play stuff, and I got burnt out. I didn't touch Skyrim for a year. And so I think any heavy content schedule, you're going to burn out no matter what game it is, but especially if it's a genre that you're not really into.
I think I don't like MMOs that much. It can be fun, but for story-wise, I kind of want something to wrap up at some point. I don't like things that just continue forever. Something about that does not appeal to me. And I think that is maybe part of the appeal for some people, is that it's not just this, quick story and then you move on, but it's something that you just can continue on and you can be a part of in a lot of ways.
That is the appeal for me, actually.
Games. Like, I think this game's special. There's a billion things that are special about it. The community, the things that they let you do with housing, the things they let you do with just trying different characters, the crafting, the glamour. Like, there's so many cool things about this game. So I don't want to just be negative about it. And I feel like my streams and my videos, it's like, I feel like my criticisms are warranted. I can talk to you about them all day. I can back them up. I believe they're true, but I also believe that it doesn't mean you guys have to really listen to them. If this is your favorite game of all time, you absolutely love this game, you don't need to listen to somebody that's going to disagree with you just because it's like, even if I think I'm right, like, if you signed up because you wanted to just watch me, like, love this game, and now I'm not loving it, like, and that doesn't vibe with you, it's like, yeah, I don't think you should continue to watch my videos, because
that's the trap, right? That's the trap. And I've heard from many content creators, it's hard to be a variety streamer or a variety content creator, especially in the gaming world. So it's hard because when your channel does take off with a game, right? Like, what happens when you burn out on that game? I don't know. I'm still in the infantile stages of my own channel. I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, granted, I have taken I've really, really taken my time through A Realm Reborn. I'm 4 months in, and I'm still haven't completed A Realm Reborn. I have written love letters. I have written just like different like video essays. I've done different trials and documenting my experiences and first thoughts, and I've just taken my time. People are like, "Come on, dude, get to Heaven's Word," but I don't know what's going to happen once I clear Heaven's Word or the other expansions. Like, what does that mean for this channel? I have no idea, because most of you have followed me because of Final Fantasy 14, and I don't know what's going to happen if one day I burn out. I hope I don't burn out. There's a lot of other games I would like to cover, and I've actually had discussions with some of you in my community offline in our private Discord and asked you this question. I still don't know the answer to it. Is like, what happens if I throw a different gaming video out into my current channel? I tried that with Palia, which is a really cozy MMO game, and the video tanked, which we shouldn't. As content creators, you have to ride the balance between creating content for views and creating content that you care about. And hopefully there's a happy medium where the video that you care about is also generating views, especially if you're trying to do this as an income project, which is something I believe Genji is doing, something that I am also doing. I want to be a full-time content creator. But all that to say is I don't know what happens when you switch lanes. And for me, what I've seen is so much traction from Final Fantasy 14 videos. It does make me scared, because in my heart, and you can't see my library, but I have a physical game library over here to the left. And there's so many games that I want to do video essays about and blind reactions to that I've never played, right? I have so many games that I've never played that I bought that I would love to do what I'm doing with Final Fantasy 14 with my community. I just don't know if that's why my community's here, and if that's going to be a reason why you leave or if the channel performs poorly. And again, it's not all about the views, but there is a tension here of I don't know what happens to this channel after Final Fantasy XIV. And like I said, there's a lot of other games that I would love to do with my community. The Elden Ring DLC, when it comes, I would love to do that. I really want to do a Dark Souls 1, like Journey. There's just other games I want to do. I want to do a Final Fantasy 12. I've never actually played through that game, and I would love to do like a video essay or even just do documenting like my progression. So I'll have to say, I don't know what happens. I don't know what happens as a channel that is now growing because of Final Fantasy XIV. And I can only imagine Genji, who's like a legit streamer. What does that mean for him? I'm sure he's probably asking himself the same questions.
While I will continue to say good things about it, I don't absolutely love this game. So I just need to throw that out there. Also, there's the whole thing of, hey, I'm not yet to Shadowbringers and Endwalker, and everyone's been telling me that that's when the game gets good. And of course, the game's already gotten good. There's already great things about the game, but like they're saying that's where the story really picks up. And in my opinion, a game shouldn't take 450 hours to get to the good part. You know?
Oh wow!
Like,
okay.
If A Realm Reborn is like a 6 out of 10, and Stormblood's like a 5 or a 6 out of 10. And the other ones are 9 out of 10. It's like it's still averaging out to like a 7 or an 8, and that's kind of how I feel about that. So that's that. I don't want to continue playing the game and, you know, with the idea and the mindset of like, hey, is this the best game of all time? Because I think I've already answered that question.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel about it. So if that's what you're looking for, the answer to that question, I don't think it's the best Final Fantasy. I think it's around my 6th favorite. I think it's Final Fantasy 7 through 10 are my top 4, and then I think Final Fantasy 16 is probably 5. And then
I haven't played that one.
6 and 14 and 12, like those 3 are kind of tied for like 7th or 6th, somewhere around there. That's how I feel about it. So I wanted to make this video and talk to you guys about that, let you know how I feel about it, let you know how I feel about the whole just streaming this game in general, because it's been an experience. It's been ups and downs. It's been stressful. It's been insanely fun, and I'm going to continue doing it because, you know, a lot of people have said, well, if you're not enjoying it, stop playing it, and I'm not going to stop playing it. I'm going to keep playing it. I don't care if it's the best game of
that's
all
fair.
forever.
That's fair.
I want to complete it. I like completing games, and even though it's going to take me 700 hours, I'm going to do that. I'm going to complete it. A little bit more about just the kind of behind the scenes of just my idea of streaming it and my idea of making videos about this game. As you probably can tell, I haven't been streaming it 5 days a week anymore. I'm streaming
Wow,
5 days a week.
that's an aggressive schedule. 5 days a week. I can't even imagine having to be on, like mentally on, creating content for something that much. My schedule is once a week, and most of my content is like I write a script or I come up with a concept and then I film. And usually my filming sessions are 2, sometimes 3 hours, and then that is enough content generally to trim it down to like a 10 or 15 minute like concise video. But if I had to be on engaging with a live audience 5 days a week on any game, even my most favorite games like Minecraft or Skyrim, I would absolutely lose it eventually. And actually, I don't know how people will know this. I talked about this on my Patreon in one of our private podcasts, but I started streaming back in 2017 as a variety streamer, and I was going, I think it was like six nights a week, and I was doing variety games. So I was doing like stuff like Zelda, and then I was doing what else was I playing? I was playing a bunch of different games back then. And after like 3 months of that, I burnt out. In fact, I took a break from video games altogether, and I just like went into like a hiatus completely, just like binged anime as like my, you know, out of work hobby. But streaming Final Fantasy 14 5 days a week, that's exhausting for anybody. So I commend you for going that long and that far. That's really impressive. I could not do that.
I'm still going to be playing through Friday night, Saturday morning. We're playing Final Fantasy XIV. That is what it is. As for YouTube videos, I'm still going to give you guys updates. I'm going to do probably kind of recap reviews. So after I beat Stormblood, I'll do some videos about it, and we're going to keep talking about it, and I'm going to tell you all the good things that I like, and I'll also talk about the negative. But I'm also going to be making other videos, because I like other games, and I think I've understood that the games that I'm really enjoying now at this time in my life are games that give you choice. They are
yes.
American RPGs, ARPGs, not action RPGs, but the ARPGs in the sense of Ultima, Bethesda, old school Bethesda, Elder Scrolls, and new school Bethesda. I think Bethesda's great. CD Projekt Red, BioWare, games that give you choice and consequence and let you pay off for those choices and consequences in game.
Yeah.
I also like games that don't have cutscenes that allow you to kind of role play and stay in first person with the character. Like Cyberpunk is basically what I'm talking about. I think that was so genius. Skyrim does this as well, where they let you just kind of stand there with your character and talk with people. There's this level of immersion that you get there with that I'm just really attracted to. I think it's something about the video game medium that can only be done in a video game medium.
Yes, I agree.
A cutscene is just like a movie. It's like a TV show. You're just passive, and the medium of video games allows you to have input and to interact. So the games that give you more of that ability to interact and to impact the world that you're in, for me, that's what excites me with video games. So I'm going to make more videos about those types of games, like Starfield or the new DLC for Cyberpunk.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. I am also really attracted to that game style as well. And again, for me, I didn't come into Final Fantasy XIV with the expectation of immersion in the same way that Skyrim provides or Cyberpunk. I came in with the expectation that Final Fantasy XIV would be a Final Fantasy game that gives me dungeon experiences that I can play with others. That was my only expectation. Is it my favorite Final Fantasy game? I would say it's definitely top 3. But perhaps the tension that Genji is feeling is that as a content creator, there's other games that grab our hearts more that are just easier to create content about. I've certainly felt that it's definitely easier for me to create Skyrim content than it is Final Fantasy XIV, only because the immersion carries you, whereas 14 requires me to come in with a video concept or come in with a script. And again, not that that's bad, but the two different genres, and I think maybe that's misleading, is that Final Fantasy XIV gets put in the RPG, the MMORPG genre, but I think the conception is we come into Final Fantasy XIV thinking, oh, it's gonna give us that itch that other Final Fantasy games gave us, and I don't think that's true. I think for me, the balance has allowed me to go this far in my channel only because I am playing other games that give me that super immersive experience, so that when I come into Final Fantasy XIV, I feel fresh, and I'm really just here for dungeons and trials and raids. And I think that's how I envision myself making it long term and not burning out, is pacing myself and also getting that fix from other games I care about.
That being said, I'll still make videos about Final Fantasy VII Remake. I'm excited for the Rebirth, the next one, and the one after that. I'm going to give you guys a review of Final Fantasy 16 when I'm finished with that. I think it's been I've been having to think a lot about balancing that. I want to continue to give you guys these Final Fantasy videos. That's what you signed up for. That's what everyone that signed up for my channel for the past 6 months, that's what you're here for.
I am same position.
When I make these other videos, I am losing subscribers. I've had kind of stagnant growth over the last few months because I haven't been just making more Final Fantasy 14 videos. So, that's something that I'm just having to come to terms with. Just have to continue to start building new content and slowly evolve my channel into something else. And that being said, thank you guys so much for those of you that have stuck around that are here for it. Not everybody that plays Final Fantasy 14 just plays Final Fantasy 14. A lot of you have shown up when I've been streaming other games. A lot of you do comment on my other videos, and thank you. Like really, that's freaking awesome. So thank you. And for those of you that just want to watch the Final Fantasy videos, hey, thank you guys too. Like, it's been really freaking great. So thank you guys so much. Yeah, this video's been long. I'll make some follow-ups. We're gonna do Stormblood this weekend. I can't wait to talk about that. I think tentatively, my feelings about that game, about that patch, are that I think it's pretty decent. I don't think it's like a 5 or a 6. A lot of people in my chat have said that they think it's like a 5 or a 6, but I like a lot of things about it. I think it's great, and now that I don't have that really high expectation for it, I'm just kind of enjoying it for what it is. So I've been enjoying that, and yeah, excited to finish that this weekend. That being said, go follow me on Twitch, like, subscribe, or unsubscribe. You probably already left the video in some of you, but that's okay. Alrighty. Well, anyways, thanks guys for watching. Until next time, I'll see you later.
Yeah, he made a lot of really good points. I wish he talked about more about the pressures of having to produce that volume for any type of singular game. I don't know if a lot. I don't know if I think people should talk about that more as content creators. Is the pressure to produce high volume? Some of the YouTubers I look up to, they are like at like a day. They're like at a daily drop, so they're doing like videos every single day. And granted, that's like their full-time thing. That I just can't even imagine. Like my goal is to get to 2 videos a week, and that feels like a stretch. But no, Genji makes a lot of good points, and actually, I feel the same tension. Like, do I just need to create a second channel for games that I care about separately? And part of the hard sell is like, are you here for like the brand, which would be part of like my personality, right? Like, are you here for personality as the person, as a gamer, so you're willing to like follow me through like any game, or are you here for Final Fantasy 14? And I think Genji nails that, right? And I know it's discouraging when your videos that you really care about like don't do well. And I've had a few that I actually have privated only because I'm like, is this off brand? It's not connecting in the way that I was hoping. So I'm actually really curious to see what his comments are like. So let's see here. My only regret in playing Final Fantasy XIV is that I didn't take my time playing it. I rushed through the story because I wanted to be ready for Endwalker, and the longer I played, the more I regretted forcing myself to play it. I should have just taken my time. So despite like the comments I've been getting, like comments on my video or even like, you know, DMs in our private Discord, is that they're like, come on, like hurry up and get to Heaven's Word. It's going to be so good. You're going to be able to do so many cool like videos about it. And for me, I am pacing myself only because I don't want to burn out on a game that I'm genuinely enjoying. And I have not experienced a game like Final Fantasy XIV in a very long time. Actually, in 13 years, because that's when Skyrim dropped. And I haven't felt this like pull to play something like I have with Final Fantasy XIV. Now, granted, there will be sometimes 3 or 4 days where I don't even log in. And that's because I got a real life outside of this. And this is not my full-time thing yet. As we're growing and trying to get like different forms of monetization, I'm not logging in every single day. So my content schedule is vastly different from Genji, who's like a legit streamer. I just produce like videos, right? Like scripted, you know, videos that are edited down. I can cut out mistakes. I can cut out like, you know, bloopers and whatnot and have like a really concise video. And that's only once a week. So that's got to be exhausting for him to be able to be on that schedule. Let's check out some more comments here. So I appreciate how candid this is. No game is perfect. I do think you're burnt out. Definitely take a break from it. There are many great games out there. I'm sure folks would love to see you play. See, that's super supportive. And I hope that his audience is flexible enough to realize that, you know, his takes on Final Fantasy XIV and the experience that he gives his audience can also be achieved in other games. And that's so hard as a content creator, and it can be really discouraging when your audience doesn't connect with you in other venues. And yeah, that's tough. That's tough because you want your audience to share that joy that you're trying to create. And I know that discouragement. I really do. I feel for him. My favorite all-time video game story is Witcher 3. That was my transition game between WoW and Final Fantasy XIV. You wouldn't like it, though. It has lots of cutscenes. So, yeah, I think that if you're going to be a content creator in any capacity, you need games or medium or media, sorry, that carries you through, that maybe you aren't creating content about, so that you're just enjoying it. You're just enjoying it. Like for me, I'm getting ready to like get that annual Minecraft binge. You know, I haven't played Minecraft in a very long time, and I'm really starting to feel that annual binge come in. And as much as I would love to document that experience, and we actually have a really sick private server that me and a bunch of buddies, we like create all these rules. Like we have our own civilization. There's like tax system. There's like different laws. It's like a whole thing that we've done, right? And we haven't come back in a very long time. It's probably been 3 years now. And I love that. We created our whole society with rules and taxes. It was amazing. But if I document that, like my audience is here for Final Fantasy 14, and Minecraft is a completely different experience. And as much as I would love to show my audience that I've wrestled, do I create a separate channel? I don't know the answer to that. And if you know the answer to that, or you're watching this and you're like, yeah, I'll watch that, let me know in the comments. And if you're like, no, I don't want to watch that, also let me know in the comments, because that's helpful to know if I just need to create a separate channel. So anyway, back to Genji here. Very timely, as I've been recently looking to returning to this game or elsewhere. I know Black Desert is trending again, so I haven't tried that yet. I've also heard of Guild Wars 2, which I've heard is like really fun. I've not tried that either. Thank you for your honesty. I'll keep right here waiting for your Shadowbringers experience. So it seems like overall his audience is like very supportive, and I hope that just for his sake that the other games he cares about, like, they do well. I'm actually curious to see. And granted, and Genji, if you're watching this, I am subscribed to you. It's on my other account, so I'm not just like not supporting you. I hope you know that. So let's see. So why I'm quitting Final Fantasy 14. Okay, so Final Fantasy 14 video. 14. Yeah. So Starfield, that's unfortunate, right? He obviously really cares about Bethesda games, and for his Starfield video to only get 207 views, I know that hurts, or it would hurt me, right? I mean, he obviously put time and effort into this, and so his concern is playing out, and I see that, and I feel for him in that capacity as a content creator. His WoW video, Baldur's Gate 3, which is another game that I would love to cover. But look, it's like the Final Fantasy 14 community. It's either, and granted, there's a ton of other factors, right? Thumbnail, titles that play into like the metrics. But I think his concern that he voiced is like happening, and that's got to be like super discouraging. So if you're watching this, granted, you know, Genji, you're a much bigger creator than I am. But if you're watching this and you are into some of the games you see here on his page, go give him a support. Go give him a follow. You know, people don't talk about this enough, or maybe they do. I haven't heard it enough. But as a content creator, man, the pressure sometimes is like really intense. And if you're trying to do this as a income gig, I don't know. There's just a lot of pressure, man. Like there's been many Friday nights where my video will drop on, you know, at noon on Friday, and I'm just like constantly refreshing the page to see where my metrics are at. And like my click-through rate will go really, really high, and then it'll come really, really low. And you're just like, oh, I'm like trying to create really good, meaningful content for my audience. And it's like, just sometimes it just doesn't connect. And that's like super discouraging. But you know, Genji, if you ever were watching this channel, or if you're ever watching this video, Genji, just know that me from the shadows have like really appreciated your thumbnails, and I get so much inspiration actually from your Final Fantasy 14 takes, like different things you should cover. Like I love this, like, and it's amazing that you're able to get such high views with your face on the thumbnail, because when I put my face on the thumbnail, my videos do terrible. So I resort to using like different pictures that my community takes, specifically cat girls, because that's the only way I'm seeming to get click-through rate, right? But it's amazing that you have actually been able to successfully get thousands of views with your face on the thumbnail. I have not been able to break into that dimension yet. But overall, I mean, I've looked at your channel last night, and this is when I found your video. And I see you've been covering like stuff for years now. And it's a shame because there's some really cool like hidden gems. Like this game right here, Mega Man X. Dude, I grew up on that in middle school. Me and my buddy, we would try to clear the bosses in this, and there was some really challenging bosses. And obviously you made a video about this, so you obviously care about it. But to only get 14 views, I know that hurts as a content creator. So anyway, from one content creator to the next, I just want you to know you're not alone. I appreciate your content, appreciate your honesty. And if you ever see this and you want to run content together, I would be so honored to do a dungeon or a raid or a trial with you. Granted, you're way farther than me, so it would have to probably be like a Realm Reborn stuff, but I would still like to hang out with you nonetheless. So anyway, thanks for hanging out with me in this very casual just reaction video. I'm very thankful to my community for all your support. And let me know in the comments. I really want to do other stuff, but I may have to create a separate channel for that, in which case I would love to know your thoughts. Anyway, go give Genji some love, give him a like, give him a follow. Go check him out on Twitch. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks for hanging out with me today. And until next time, stay nerdy. Bye.